Hello, today we're going to be planting onions in buckets. It's something I've already done this year. I done it in the spring of the year and those onions grew in the bucket through the spring of the year, the summer of the year, and early in autumn I harvested those onions. And I was really surprised how well they did, so much so I'm going to give it another go. But this time we're sowing the onions in autumn, and they're going to grow through autumn, winter, spring and summer, and be harvested next autumn. But what I'm going to do is, I'll show you what I'm going to be using to plant these onions, and then I'm going to cut you to some video of the onions that I've already grown this year in buckets, let you see what's possible, and then when you come back to me from that, we'll be ready to plant these onions in this bucket. Okay, so what are we going to need? Well, this is carrot top. I've just noticed that in this soil there are some remains of carrot tops, and that's because this soil has just grown carrots this year. I've just harvested the carrots from this bucket and I'm now going to plant onions in it. Okay, so it's a quick turnaround for this soil. This is just a 10-inch water bucket, and all we've got in there is some plain old garden soil that's probably been invigorated over the years with chop and drop, perhaps some blood fish and bone, some general fertiliser, but to all intents and purposes it's bog standard garden soil. Okay, so we've got our bucket, we've got our soil. We'll get rid of those carrot tops. Because we're growing in autumn and through winter, these onions are quite small, and the biggest danger to these onions is that they'll get blown over. So we need to make sure that doesn't happen. So what we're going to use is we're going to use these cut off pop bottles. There are 4 of them. They're simply topped and tailed and stapled together, top and bottom, and they'll actually sit very nicely on that 10-inch bucket. Now if you're growing in 10-inch buckets, these are ideal. If you're growing in 5-gallon buckets or anything bigger than this, you may be able to squeeze more than 4 in, but 4 is quite big enough. And I think you'll agree when you see the onions in this next clip of video that yeah, 4 onions is maximum for a 10-inch pot. For a 10-inch bucket. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to plant the 4 onions in here, and we're going to equally space them, and we're going to mark those spaces with these white pebbles, something like that, just to give us a marker. Okay, so that we know when we put these windbreaks on, they'll actually cover the 4 onions. We've got them equally spaced. What we're going to do is, I know that when we plant these onions, because the onion sits on top and it's just the roots that are in the soil, it will flop over, it will want to fall over, and the wind would snap them off, the wind would break them off. So what we'll do is we'll hold those onions upright by leaning them on sticks. Okay, so that's the 4 onions held upright, leaning on sticks. We'll then pop this over the top so that we've got all the onions protected. We'll then take these sticks out, okay, and then to secure these we'll put a couple of old rocket sticks in diagonally. These are sticks that I collect every year. There's lots of them about. Whenever there's a celebration, whenever rockets are fired off, you always find these guys. That will not move. That will not move. These onions will be protected. Okay, so you've seen the bits and pieces that we're going to use. I'll just show you the onions, a onion that we grew last year in a bucket like this, and that's a shop bought onion. Come on. That and 3 more like it were grown in a bucket like this. In fact, there were 4 more like it because one of the onions split. 4 of those out of a bucket like that. That's a shop bought onion. That's a homegrown veg, bucket grown onion. You want to give this a go now, don't you? Now you've seen this, I know you do. Okay, so let me just move this out of the shot. And let me just bring the onions into the shot. So these are ones that we're going to be planting up today. As you can see, they've got wind guards on. They're just stuck inside this. That's just to give them some protection. Let me pop these over here. I started them off in these yoghurt pots. This is an onion called Ailsa Craig. That's what that big guy was that you've just seen. These are Ailsa Craig. I think I sowed about 20 seeds in that pot, and I think I've probably got about 15 or 16. So we're happy with that. That's okay. That'll get us 4 pots up, maybe even more. This one's disappointing. This is Red Brunswick. Now there's only 4 seeds germinating there, and there was about more than 20 seeds sown. So that might tell me that I don't want to be using these seeds next year at all. I don't want to be growing these onions because the seeds aren't that viable. Ailsa Craig okay, Red Brunswick a bit iffy. Okay, I'll cut into that video now. By the time you come back, I'll have these Ailsa Craigs out of this yoghurt pot and we'll be ready to plant them. See you in a minute. Right, what we're doing today, we're going to look at some onions that I sowed earlier in the year. We're going to harvest them today and we're going to weigh them. And I think you might be surprised at what you're going to see. Okay, and these are onions that were started in a yoghurt pot, in garden soil, grown on indoors, then planted out into a 10-inch water bucket, which is about the same size as a domestic water bucket. Whoa, how about that? I think I'm going to need to adjust the camera, I'm fairly sure I am. Hey, what do you think of that? From that to that in 4 months in that pot. Come on. They're enormous. Right. So what we're going to do now is, these are 4 pot bottles stapled together. I normally put these on it to act as wind breaks because when these onions first go outdoors it is probably quite windy. We're in the spring of the year and I don't want them to get blown over, so I put these in and I support them using sticks. I've just put some sticks in. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these off, let you get a better look at these onions, but then I'm going to take them away from this table somewhere where I can take them out of the pot without making too much of a mess indoors. Then I'm going to bring them back, show you them, and we're going to weigh them. Does that sound good? We'll see what weight of onions we've got from this small 10-inch water bucket. Okay. Okay, so as you can see, the necks have gone. These onions are ready to be harvested. And what I've noticed actually is one of these onions is actually split into 2. So we're not going to get 1, 2, 3, 4 onions, we're going to get 5 onions. It just gets better. And I hope the camera can look into that pot, but I think as you can see, there ain't much space left in there, is there? Those onions are shoulder to shoulder. Can you see that? We'll just pop this tea towel over the top of this bucket. We'll stick the onions on there. That's a big onion, come on, that's a big onion. Out of a small 10-inch water bucket. and this is the guy that's split. So what we'll do is we'll take a couple of skins off like this. How's that? And then we'll just break it like this. How's that? 2 for the price of 1. It just gets better, doesn't it? 2 for the price of 1. So we've now got 5 onions from this this 10-inch water bucket. Let me pop them down there. I always like to leave about 3 or 4 inches on of stem on the onion. I think it helps to keep disease from going down the neck when the onions are in storage. I'm not too sure if that's true, but that's what I do anyway. Okay, I'll just go and get the scale. Oh, I forgot we had 5. I'd done 4, I thought we were finished. We've got 5, haven't we? Okay, I'll just go and get the scales. Okay, we're going to go with the biggest first. And that is a big onion. For an onion grown outside in a water bucket. What have we got? Is that just over £1 for 1 onion? Right, let's put the rest of them on there if we can get them to stand. What's it looking like? And this guy's going to have to pop in the middle. What have we got? Hey, come on, that's a result. That is a result. 3 1/4 pound of onions. Started off in a yoghurt pot, grown on in a small water bucket, stood on my patio, stood in my garden. That is a result. Okay, we're back. Did you enjoy that clip of video? I bet you want to grow onions in buckets now. I'll bet you do. Come on. Right. Now, I guess the biggest danger to this, of course, is that onions bolt, don't they? And I think onions growing through winter are more prone to bolt than any other onion. But I'm going to grow these through winter. We're going to give them a shot. I'm not putting any onions in the raised bed this year, any winter onions in the raised bed. I will be growing onions in the raised bed, but not growing them through winter. Just buckets this year. Okay. I've teased 4 out. I'll pot the others up later. They're the 4 onions. Okay, so we've got our 4 onions. We've marked our oops. We've marked our positions. That's where the onions are going. Right, let's plant them. So I want to get as much of this root down this hole as I can. But the onion will be sitting on top. And it will want to fall over, and I'll demonstrate that once I've got it planted. Okay, so those roots are tucked in nicely. We'll just close that up. Look, I'm never going to get these over there, am I? Never. Unless we prop them up. And that's what we're going to do in a minute. Hold on. Do you have a good year with your onions? Oh, I did. Blimey. These Ailsa Craigs have done really well for me. I think, to be honest, I think we've just had a good year for onions, although the farmers are saying we haven't. And that's because they've had trouble keeping the plants hydrated. I mean, they're out in the field, I'm at home in the garden. And so I can water mine. I'm lucky that way. I suppose you might be lucky that way if you're gardening in an allotment. If you've got water, you can keep your onions watered. So I think the weather's been okay. It's just been a bit too dry here in the UK for onions, but not if you watered them. I'm only going to do this one pot on camera. Yeah, we'll do the rest off camera, and we'll see how many we can get away. These onions, by the way, they've stood outside for a number of weeks now. I've just brought them in today to pot them up. So they are hardened off, they should be okay. Okay, there's my onions, and as predicted, look, they're falling over. So we'll try and hold them up vertically as best we can, just with a couple of props. That looks okay to me. What about you? Let's get this guy up on his feet. Now what they'll do is they will fall over to the inside of the pod bottles, but that will then support them. Okay, so it'll keep them upright and it'll keep the wind off. And the other trick we've got up our sleeve, if it snows, if there's any big snow forecast, we can simply pop a shopping bag over the top of this lot, keep the snow off, if we decide to do that, can't we? Just give them some protection. How's that? Well, this guy isn't just as I would like him at the minute, so we're going to put another stick in there. In fact, I'm going to just give him a bit more there. That's looking better. Right, let's see if we can tease these over without actually cutting any of these onions in half. That's that one, that one, that one, and that one. Nice and gently does it. And when you're doing this indoors, as I am, it's warm, isn't it? Even though we're in autumn. It's raining outside, it's not raining in here. And so we sorted. That's it. Okay, all those onions, you can't tell from there, but I can tell from here, are right in the middle of those 4 tubes. How good is that? Now then, take the supports out. Tubes have got them. Lock the tubes in place with a couple of more sticks, like this. And these tubes will not move. They just won't. Those tubes will not move. You can give them as much wind as you like. How good is that? 4 onions planted up Ailsa Craig, planted in autumn to grow through winter, into spring, through summer. We'll be harvesting these at the beginning of next autumn probably. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed this video. This is Homegrown Veg, signing out.